off.
There we
The
go.
recording.
You turned it off. Oh, no.
So I'll turn it back on. Uh, so, how's the fascia in your legs rotating?
I just can't stop it.
Good.
Nice.
Sorry.
Impressed.
Big, overall, pretty good. A little bit of mixed success along the way. I think, there's like a good feedback and awareness of it. Although I don't think there's actually a lot of tissue movement. But I don't know if there would be a lot in the legs.
Now you feel it, but you don't see much.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's twisting and it feel connected to the fascia, but yeah, like when I look at it,
No, you're
it
not
doesn't
gonna.
look like anything's happening.
No, you're not gonna see it a lot,
Okay. All right.
if anything.
Right.
Absolutely. Any other comments or thoughts at the moment?
I mean, I missed class obviously last week, but I did read the lesson. I didn't get to see it. No, I thought that on movement 3, yeah, it's really important to remember the 4 points. Because I think I've been struggling with 3 in some ways, particularly on 3 and 9. So I think I found that very helpful.
Yeah. I think we all go through that tendency of wanting to over rotate, and that immediately gets in the way. I was doing Dragon and Tiger this morning and reminding myself not to over rotate. So, yeah, that's an important point, because it is one of the things that we sort of just automatically do. We want to go further.
Right. Well, I find that, yeah, because I practiced the form a few times last week. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Right. Same thing. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're actually going to continue playing with rotating today. So we're trying to release the fascia in our body, because that's the point. That we want to make the chi flow more strongly inside of you. So we're going to start with standing.
Okay.
Just take a moment to land and let yourself be present.
Computer's a mess.
Gosh, Adam, I haven't seen that much of you for quite a while.
Not in his office.
So just settle. Extend your mind through your body. And I want you to do one of movement 2, and when you come up to the top, go right into 3. And as you turn to 3, make sure you turn the fascia in the direction of 3. And then in the direction of 6 as you go down. And in the direction of 9. And then 12. So you're turning the fascia in the direction of each of those. Outward to 3. Inward to 6. Out to 9. And inward again at 12. And keep trying to do that. Now be aware of your lower dantian and keep your attention on it. As you go to 3 o'clock, open your dantian. Close it as you go to 6. Open it as you go to 9. And close it again as you go to 12. And let your qua open as you go to 3. And close as you go to 6. And open as you go to 9. And close as you go to 12. See if you can keep all of those going together. Let your breath be very smooth and even. If you end up slowing down in the middle of a movement, remember that the turning of your fascia also slows down. Or if you speed up, it speeds up. And make sure that the turning of your legs is also turning your calves. Turning the fascia in the calves is harder. When you come up to 12, change direction and now be aware of the fascia in your buttocks and your lower back. Make sure they're rotating to release the pressure. Twist out as you go to 9. Twist it inwards as you go to 6. Out to 3. and in to 12. Now focus on opening and closing your dantian as you go around the circle. Open and close the kwa as you go around your circle. Feel your legs, thighs, and calves twisting as you go around. And feel your buttocks twisting and releasing the lower back. And the next time you come to 12 o'clock, let your hands drop down and pause. And sit down, relax. So what worked, what didn't work? Anything you don't understand?
Yeah, I think, yes, a lot worked. So that's good. I get my calves, I get my buttocks, I kind of engage everything. I think that in terms of for 12 o'clock, I've really been opening the kwa as I rise. And so that was what am I supposed to be doing here? So that to me was the biggest challenge. It was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing that part wrong. Where I feel like for 3, 6, and 9, I'm clear.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not always doing it right, I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
And 12 is difficult because the joint is opening because you are going up, but the cavity is closing.
Right.
So yeah, that and 12 just is difficult because you're doing all these things at the top that are you feel like should be at the bottom, which they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill?
It felt good for the most part. Feeling of pumping in the whole lower abdomen, the dantian and the kwa area, in and out, open and closed, twisting, and my lower back felt pretty loose. So I was basically happy with what was going on. It wasn't as consistent as I'd like, certainly, but I could, when it was working, I could feel that it was, aha, this is what's supposed to be going on.
Good. Good. Anything for you, Adam?
No, I think for the most part things went well. I think integrating all the pieces gets challenging, but it's part of the process.
Well, and that's very difficult to do at that pace.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I guess I might add that the calves do not feel engaged in the twisting.
Hmm.
So they're not tight necessarily, but I don't feel movement down there nearly as much as in the thighs.
Mhm.
The calves are much harder to get to rotate, to feel that twisting. Um, One of the important things for that is making sure that the knee is slightly bent and that so that it's open in the back of the knee.
Yeah.
Um, I also, as we were speaking a minute ago too, also I think over rotating will affect that too. So important not to do that. Good. So
Mhm.
previously in some of the other movements, we've focused on moving the yang surfaces of the body and leaving the yin ones alone, or moving the yin and leaving the yang alone. And this particular movement is probably going to be a little bit more difficult. So my recommendation is that first you just focus on doing it in the thighs, and then just the calves, and then the calves and thighs together, and then the buttocks only, and then the buttocks with the thighs and calves, and then the area around the sacrum only. And this one you have to pay special attention to because you do not want to put excess pressure on the sacrum. And then everything from your legs to your sacrum together. So you have 20 repetitions of each movement to do the motion. So you do a few until you feel that one of them's a little bit better. And then you go to the next. And if it doesn't get better that day, as you know, do the whole 20, and the next day, probably after you do a few, it will begin to get a little bit better. But go very easily, very gently, and the turning of your legs will eventually become very smooth. And the chi flow from your legs to your upper body will first feel a bit rough in the sense that you're trying to push chi through your body. Then as you relax and allow it, it will move smoothly. And that's the intent of my. Then as the intent of your mind gets a lot clearer about moving all these fascial surfaces, it will begin to bring an immense amount of life into you. It just goes through these stages, which are not written in stone, but everyone will have their own unique reactions. But that's the general way to go. So let's try practicing this. So stand again.
Mhm.
And the first time or so as we go around here, we're going to pause at each of the 4 points. So start at the very end of movement 2 with your hands up and turning from the outside surfaces of your legs, thighs, and calves. As you turn outward from your buttocks and your lower sacrum, that's how you're going to get your arms to go to 3. And pause at 3. Do all of those together, going into movement 3. And now when you're doing the outer surfaces of the arms, nothing happens on the inside. The inside should be soft. When you move the outside of your legs, the inside of your legs should be soft, not doing anything. Now when you go to 6, you're going to twist the yin surfaces. You're doing nothing with the yang surfaces. All the twisting is happening on the yin of the arms and legs. And the buttocks, where they were twisting outward, are now twisting inward toward the sacrum. Then going on, it's the same as you start towards 9. You're going to go to 9, start twisting the outside of your legs, not inside. Twisting the buttocks outward, not inward. And then going up to 12, you're going to turn inward with the yin. Turn inward with the legs. Have the buttocks turn inward toward the sacrum. So the important point about when you turn the buttocks inward and the sacrum is that you do not do it in such a way that it focuses on one of the vertebrae of your lower back. No pressure. So now just start doing movement 3. And remember, if you first need to focus just on the inside of your arms moving, you're not doing the yang, you're focusing on the yin. As you go to 12 or 6, and then focusing on the yang but not the yin when you go to 3 and 9. All you're doing is trying to have all your meridian line surfaces basically moving in coordination with each other. When you go to 3 o'clock, focus on the yang surfaces of your arms turning. When you go to 6, focus on the inside of your arms turning. When you go to 9, focus on the outside. And when you go to 12, focus on the inside surfaces of your arms. And do the same thing with your legs. When you go to 3, the outside surfaces of your legs. When you go to 6, the inside surfaces. When you go to 9, the outside. When you go to 12, the inside. Now have your arms and your legs do it together. Three o'clock outside, 6 o'clock inside. 9 outside, 12 inside. buttocks going outward at 3, inward to 6, outward at 9, inward at 12. Buttocks and spine together, outward at 3, inward at 6, out at 9, in at 12. And now try to have everything going together. If you'd like to reverse, that would be fine. All right, and now relax. So could you feel the connection between skin and fascia?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Great. So often, as a matter of fact, the majority of the time, women find opening and moving the yin surfaces easier than the yang, and the men the opposite. But that's not necessarily true. Everybody's an individual, and some people do just the opposite. So, in your practice, are there any particular places in the postures where you have questions?
I don't think so. I feel like I know what I'm supposed to be trying to accomplish at all the places. It's just a matter of doing it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Doing it all and
We all
integrating.
know.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that.
You know, I do feel that the more we focus on the lower body with twisting and the fascia, the more it feels like the legs integrate with the torso, and that I think I always felt like there was a distinction between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And now it really feels like sort of the meat of the legs really does come up and integrate with the abdominal muscles in the lower back. And that, you know, the Dantian sort of drives everything, because the Dantian is kind of in that middle point of the junction between those groups of tissues.
Yeah, good. Absolutely. And we do certainly in the early stages of this, spend most of our time focusing on the torso and the arms. But we have to eventually really focus on the legs, because ultimately they are more important than the arms, far more important, as you know. And so that I'm glad that that's beginning to happen for you, because that's an important stage to go through. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like this, this was good. I've got a deeper understanding. I'm still struggling with 12. So I will have to, to put all of that together.
Well, 12 is 12 is a challenge. Certainly I found it that way. Bill has just joined us here. Maybe. There he is.
Right. I have to apologize. I got up and with our cat at 6 in the morning, and I woke up 10 minutes ago.
Well,
So I
you
thought
look a lot,
better late than never.
Yeah.
you look a lot better than I do 10 minutes after I
Yeah,
get
really.
Well, we just have gone through another series of practices on working with the fascia and the yin and yang surfaces of the lower body, the
No, good.
legs
Yeah,
and torso. But I am recording, so
good. I will catch up. And I did use the last week's one with jiggling things in the bottom and the back end.
did that? Do you have any questions from that, since you didn't have an opportunity to do that?
I don't have questions. I didn't get, the fascia and the lower body is elusive still. But, I enjoyed the, I don't know if we should starve ourselves and become skinny.
Well, supposedly that makes it easier.
I thought that was very interesting.
Yes.
Great.
I may not be able to sign up for that.
Yeah.
Well,
It wasn't a good fast anyway.
I will do a fast for a couple of days. But
well, don't overdo it. We're not into overdoing here.
okay, but I hope I haven't disrupted things, but here I am.
No.
No, actually, you arrived at kind of
Time.
a break in between here, so that was just fine. So what I was going to suggest is that I'd like you to do a flow, 10 repetitions, and focus on one element. When we talked about how, as you go into this, trying to do everything at once never works. I think we've all discovered that at some point along the way here. So you could focus simply on your legs, or simply on your quad or dantian or buttocks, whatever part you want to focus on. It's not necessary that you do them in specifically the order I indicated earlier, but you might start by focusing just on one, and if you find that worked really well right away and you still have some repetitions of that movement, add a second one. But just begin to play with this a little bit. Remember that it's the twisting of your legs, ideally, that's at the moment. the leader of the band in terms of the overall movement. And anybody have a question first? Okay. You get your exercise today.
Mm. There we go.
Good. So could you include any fossil movement in that?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Bill and Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was in the, at least at first, I was trying to focus on twisting and the feeling in the lower legs, and I think I am getting some separation of feeling there.
Good. Um, in general terms, it's interesting. 1, 2, and 3 seem to be really coming along quite well. It's 4, 5, and 6 where we're still having some difficulties. So I might just point out a couple of things.
mm,
Please.
So in 4, one of the things that's difficult in 4 is that when you get up to the top, this is your fully extended position. And you have to bend all the way until you get down into your dantian and down to the kwa and then into the dantian. And then you extend, and you're extending all the way up. There were some movements where you were pretty well extended here, and then there was a quick bend, and then an extension happening as you continue the bend down.
mm,
So it all has to work together. That just talking about the basic movement. The other thing is to make sure that when your arms come up, they're aligning on the side channels as much as possible. Now, of course, Joanne has particular issue being a woman, so her elbows are going to be a little further out than a man's. However, hands should not be in the middle. And certainly as a man, you don't want to get up to the top and come down with the hands here, because we want this 4 is focused principally on the side channels. And so the hands need to trace that as they come down. So making sure that to the best of correct positioning, you are tracing the side channels as you come down and bending through there. As we go,
David, while you're on 4, would you add in a comment on twisting
sure.
as you're doing 4?
So you've twisted out to here, and now you're twisting in. Now you're twisting out and continuing to twist out to here. Okay?
Thank you. Yes.
Sure. 5 is still an issue in terms of that somewhat interesting movement. As you come down here and you begin this, more than one of you is appearing to complete your extension like 2 here. And actually, I think you will find it a little better if you can take it a little further down. And then the bending in continues as the arms come up. The body doesn't go up with the crossed twisting in arms. The body is still bending through there until the energy is pulled up to the top as far as it can go. And then it extends out and the body continues to extend and rotate out until you complete that. Now, the position of the arms, where those are, whether how high this comes up and how far this goes down, really is what you feel in terms of the movement of the energy. But it's not the same as 2. It's a distinctly different movement. 6, for the most part, looked pretty good. The one thing I was going to say is, remember that when you complete 5, that you're bending in to the crossed wrist points at the dantian, and then you have to find a nice rounded way to go up and into 5, into 6. So try not to come into here and then drop the arms and somehow wander up. I mean, it really needs.
David, would you do 6 from the side?
Sure.
I've for 4, my arms are way too close to my body. It was great to see it from the side for 4.
Yeah.
So when you complete 5, you come in to the dantian and round that corner and then come up. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Good. Any other questions or thoughts at the moment?
No, I don't think so. It's a lot of food for thought there.
Yep.
I just remind you that new session started last week.
Yep.
So, I won't reject your checks.
I bet you won't. Mine has been written. I'll get it in the mail today.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's all I have for today, unless you have another question at the moment. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thanks, David.
Great.
Class, guys. Good work.
I'll try to be on time in the future.
Get along, not just a cat.
Maybe I need to call you earlier.
No, I don't.
It happens. It
It's all
happens.
right.
Don't worry, it happens.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah, yeah.
Take care. Have a good week.
Okay, you too.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Good. Do you have any other questions about any of that before we?
No, I don't think so. I think you know, just doing it and integrating it,
Yep.
it's the key. I do find the later postures are more difficult to stay focused on the fascia, especially in the lower body, because I feel
Mm,
as you go on, it becomes more challenging to stay relaxed in
ah,
the lower
yeah.
body.
Yeah. Well,
There's a
you-
little bit of kind of exertion that happens, you know, and I think a little bit of fatigue, which
Yeah, and there is something about condensing. It's hard learning to condense without tensing,
yeah,
because condensing is not tensing. That's not what we're doing there, but it is awfully easy to do that.
I actually did find, yes, I agree with Adam on that, but I did find, I mean, one of my challenges has been not tightening up my lower back, or if my lower back starts tight, not kind of letting it continue to get more tight. So I did find in practicing, particularly the first time we got up, I was able to really relax my back into this. And I think that just some of the things from last week's session, I think kind of helped with that, right? But then you're right, by 5 and 6, you're just kind of, yeah, I feel like I need to build my stamina back up with all of my other body challenges, you know,
Yeah.
that. But I think that trying to make sure that you're relaxing at the same time, really, you know, yeah, paying attention to the fascia and all of these other, you know,
Yeah.
things we need to be doing, not just relaxing.
Right. And that's, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's a real challenge. And I don't I don't have any
Yeah.
magic
No.
bullet here.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, part of it, like with anything, right, is yeah, you keep practicing, so you build your capacity up, right? You build your stamina, you build your, you know,
And-
strength, your patience.
Right, and you also recognize that maybe 20 is too many.
mm,
Mhm.
So don't feel that you have to do 20. 20 is an ideal maybe for Adam.
Yeah, I usually find that I can do 10 of all of them, and yeah, still not feel exhausted.
Yeah,
Not feel you know, just kind of getting, yeah, with my knees, my back, yeah, all of that, kind of trying
yeah.
to strengthen that, and then I'll move, yeah,
You do have
move
to
up
pay
a number.
attention to that. I mean, it's better to do, 2 sets of 10, separated by hours than to do 20 and really hurt yourself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can't. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just didn't make sense. So that's important.
Right.
Clearly, the twisting of the fascia is really important in the form,
Yes.
and is also happening there, and gets much more complex in the form if we start breaking postures down, because now we really do get into one leg going outward and one leg going inward, and
mm.
arms opposite, and what's happening in the body. So don't drive yourself crazy about that. You really have to just start with, if you haven't worked on twisting the fascia of the arms, that's the place to begin. And if you have some sense of that, then working on the thighs as we've indicated, is pretty much the next place to begin to focus. But we have to, in the form, we have to take into account that each arm is not necessarily expressing the same energy. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And as a matter of fact, most of the time it's not. And when it's,
Right, I was gonna say,
Hmm.
right, yeah,
when it's not, the legs are not doing the same thing because they have to balance what the arms are doing. So it gets considerably more complex in there, and it becomes important, I think, to not drive yourself crazy as you begin to look at that, but to focus, sometimes to focus just on one arm or just on one leg, so that you can be clear about what you're doing rather than getting confused or overwhelmed by trying to be aware of more than you can possibly be aware of.
yeah, I actually find that I found today, that it's, I understand the importance of separation, you know, and focusing on one aspect and then joining, but I find at some point, once I had that kind of aha, that I'd rather not separate out my calves and my thighs, for example, right?
Oh,
Right. But then you're right. But then in the form, we're kind of like, oh, I have to get back to separation, you know, or not. Well, I'm not trying to undo something, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it is a bit. And I think, yeah, in last week's, like I said, last week's class also just reminding us of our postures of the 4 points and the like, which is not new to us, obviously, but just
No,
an important reminder.
but it's, you know, that's extremely important because we so often tend to break the 4 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other issue, I think, and it obviously is particularly important in the form also, is how the elbow works. I was glad to see today, as I was watching you, that everybody was doing better anyway about maintaining the elbow to scapula connection and getting it to move without collapsing. Obviously, that's extremely important in the form also.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, anything come up in your practice in the form that you have a question or issue in any way?
No, I don't think any issues. I definitely found it challenging to try and focus on twisting the fascia in the lower body in the form, compared to
Yep.
God's playing in the clouds.
Okay. So,
It's, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I had, you know, not done the form for a long time, so I'm getting back into not only doing it, but remembering it all and putting it all together. It's just, yeah.
there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. And then when you go back to it after a while, you know, there's a lot more that you're adding to it, given that what you've learned through God. So I think that's kind of, yeah, that it's just a matter of making sure I keep finding the time to move through it all. You know, I've been practicing mostly just in the first paragraph because it's less physically challenging, but moving into the second one is kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, and there are some more challenging postures there that yeah, separate it all out. Or is that the right word? Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Also, good to really look at the third paragraph.
Mm,
I find myself recently really going back to Master Joe's comment that yes, we need to go through the first and second paragraph to prepare us, but it's all in the
all
third.
in the third.
Mm.
True, true.
Um,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah.
and so yes, it's important to practice the first and the second, but it's really important to practice the third. And sometimes if you don't have a lot of time, only doing the third may be,
Okay. Yeah, that's a good, I see, I've been only doing the first, but yeah, I should move to
may
doing
be
the
a
third.
good thing to do.
Mm.
Because you get parts of the first and second
Uh-huh.
in the third. So,
Right. And at some point I am hoping we can get back together again, obviously. You know, that is a lot to do, Adam, with your schedule and mine. They're both a little
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, almost more for this class than the other one, but yeah.
It really, it would really help to see you guys at some point. Because it's really, you know, it's interesting. I can see quite a bit in Gods on Zoom, but it's pretty hard in the forum.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we set it up so you really see whole body, then you're not seeing, you're not getting much of a
Yeah.
close up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot about being in the same space and being able to feel your energy. It's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But I know I
Right.
understand the work issues. I'm grateful
Yeah.
for Zoom, that we can continue as much as we can, and I appreciate that how much you guys actually do practice, despite the fact that you're extremely busy. I recognize your commitment, and that's important. So.
I think you did.
You know, it's also, I think for both of us, you know, you get into this is part of our lives. You know, it's not something I will ever drop, even when I've had really bad physical problems. I've managed to, you know, I crawl back.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think once you incorporate it, you can't just drop it.
yeah. You know,
And and you also know that if you don't do some practicing, you're not really doing it.
that's right. You know, that makes me think about Shelley, who's her ALS is progressing far too rapidly, but she still comes to class all the time.
Does she really?
Uh,
That's great.
and she's now at a point where pretty much she just has to sit in class and she only has one arm that she can really move.
Mm.
Wow.
But she does not give up.
Yeah. Well, and I think that helps with that. Another dear friend of ALS. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's something that has been important in her life for a long time.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I encourage you to keep practicing.
Keep it going.
Okay, guys. Well, have
All
a
right. Thank you. Yeah. Everybody have a good week.
Thank
Good
you,
luck with the
David.
beds next week.
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
If it's not one thing, it's another, right?
Yeah.
absolutely. Adam, have a good day off.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Very good.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Take care,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.